It's happened to everybody. You get on the gig, you finally get your upright bass, maybe you're coming from electric or you're just new to the instrument in general. You've been shedding, you've been practicing at home, maybe taking a lesson or two. You get on the gig and the notes are all in the wrong spots, right? It doesn't sound in tune, especially if you're playing along with the piano player and doubling lines or playing melodies and playing up high. Intonation is a real issue for bass players, right? So hi, my name is Bob DeBoo, here for Open Studio. We're here today to share a free lesson from my newest course entitled Better Intonation in a Week. I'm really excited about this course because there's nothing else out there quite like it for practicing and getting better, and I think it will really help bass players. As I mentioned, one of the biggest issues facing any upright bassist is playing in tune. It's especially daunting for folks just getting started on the instrument, but it also affects bassists that have been playing for many years. Some of the common quick fixes used over the years are to make pencil markings on the fingerboard or to use tape, use tuners and play slow scales along with it while watching the tuner really intently. And these are not ideal because we'd never perform like that. When we're playing on stage, we use our ears. Perhaps we're looking at some music, but we don't have time to look at markings on the fingerboard or look at our tuners. So how do we play with no frets and without looking? Well, we use our ears, which means we have to train our ears. In Better Intonation in a Week, we use piano practice tracks that we play along with to teach our ears and fingers to match the pitch in each of these progressive exercises. These tracks can be set to repeat, sped up, slowed down, and used anywhere you have access to the internet at any time. You can check out the practice track for today's free lesson by clicking the link in the video's description, and the course also comes with a workbook with fingering suggestions for all exercises. The lesson today focuses on how to tell if a note is in tune by matching pitch, and some tactics for shifting using finger replacement exercises, which are both incredibly important concepts to practicing intonation. These exercises are also fantastic for developing your awareness of intervals or using interval recognition, which allows us to use a tactic I emphasize in the course called hearing ahead, hearing the next note you're about to play. And we'll do that by utilizing the bridge technique of stacking smaller intervals together to make larger ones. We'll practice through every interval inside of an octave, and you can do this all across the bass. We start in the lower register, but you could do this up into the upper register as well. In the course, I demonstrate all of the exercises on the bass using the bow, because playing arco really helps us to pinpoint our pitch and develop our sound. You could do the whole course pizzicato though, as well as playing on fretless electric or electric upright bass, doesn't matter. So if you're serious about playing the upright bass better in tune, then this is the course for you, and there's nothing else out there quite like this. Check out the following free lesson excerpt though and see for yourself if you think it'll help your playing. All right, happy practicing, peace. So let's move on to the next pitch, which we have written here, which is going to be a G sharp or an A flat. And we'll play this with first finger on the G string, okay? Let's just see if we can find this pitch and match it. But first we're going to listen. So really try to hear that pitch. If you can sing it, that's great. So much of this course is going to be about hearing and listening, or hearing ahead and knowing what it is we were about to play. So try to hear it, and let's find this G sharp on the G string. So I hit it above, just a hair. I don't know if you heard that. So that's me. I was playing above the pitch and just pitching it down. You can do that in your left hand, but we need to be able to hear that. Cool. And you can do the same thing on the D string, on the A string, down here on the E string, and in the upper register as well. But before we get into that, I wanted to talk about another tactic that we're going to be utilizing throughout this course, which is called finger replacement. Okay? So first finger replacement we're going to do, basically what that means is that we're going to play a note, and we're going to play that same note again, but with a different finger, so we can work on the tactile memory in our hand. Okay? So we're going to start by playing an A. And what I want to do is I'm going to start by playing A with my second finger, really make sure I dial that in, and then play that same A on the same string with my first finger and see that if I can get that note and then do that on repeat. And then just take my hand away, see if I can feel where that is and bring it back. So let's try that now. Let's find the A. Here's A, right? Okay, so now try this with me. Second finger on A on the G string. And the rhythm of this at this point doesn't really matter too much. So once you get that dialed in, play that same A with your first finger and replace your second finger with your first. Just as quickly as you can. Did the pitch stay the same? Did it change? Go back and forth between them. So there, when I did a finger replacement, I started sharp, and then I fixed it and I overcompensated. I went too low and I played flat, okay? And most of this course is going to be me playing slightly out of tune on the bass. Everybody plays out of tune, at least a little bit. But we're working on that. That's why we're doing this course. So this same finger replacement can, of course, be done on the D string. Hear that difference in the tone? Every bass is going to be different too, by the way. So you want to try to find that just with your different fingers. And here we can play our pinky on A too, so try that. You see how I'm doing this? Okay, cool, so that's a fun one. Let's move to B flat, and we'll do this on the G string with our pinky. We'll play it, we'll try to find the tempo on this one. We'll play with pinky, then we'll play with second finger, then we'll play with first finger, go back to second, back to pinky. Let's try it. So 1, 1, 2, 3, 4. 3, 4. I guess my tempo's not right on this, but see, we're going back and forth. First finger to second finger. And just another thought came to mind too, which is I'm looking over here at my fingerboard and there's honestly nothing to see. There's no frets. There's no markers, right? So that's where we need to get our physical, our tactical memory together. Another thing too is if the bow slows down, it's going to change the pitch. If you run out of bow, it's going to change the pitch. So try to keep it even as much as possible. Let's try it again. So here's B flat. Is it in tune? Now switch to second finger. First finger. Back to second. And then to fourth again. Okay. Same thing could be done up here in the thumb position, right? Except let's start with third finger. Let's find B flat up there first. And again, this is without vibrato. The tendency is to really want to put some vibrato in there. But let's go third finger, now to second finger. And now to first. Second, third. Okay, and so at this point, basically what we're doing is practicing with a drone, which is a very common tactic for working on intonation. You can play a note, and you can even harmonize these notes. So say, for instance, if I was playing this B flat with my piano track, I could think the third. And try to hear if that's in tune with the B flat drone. I could play a fifth, I could play F. I could think a whole scale. Right? So that's one of the other ways that we can practice along with these tracks I'm providing in the course. Okay? Let's focus on finger spacing. So we're going to think about how much distance is between our first, second, and fourth finger. The tendency, if you just look at your hand, the ring finger is typically closer to the middle finger, meaning that there's more distance between the second and the fourth finger. Okay, what that means for us on the bass as bassists is that oftentimes we're going to play the notes with our pinky maybe a little bit sharper, and the second finger and the first finger are closer together, so we might play those a little bit flat, right? So we want to be very aware of, say, the geography of our fingerboard and how our fingers are laid out. If they look like they're equidistant, then they stand a better chance of being in tune, okay? If you see somebody playing like this and playing a chromatic scale, it just looks out of tune, so it's probably gonna be out of tune, okay? That's all fine and well on how it looks, but how does it sound, right? Let's try this track, okay? And we're gonna play along with this. We're gonna play the open G string twice, just open. G sharp twice with the first finger, A twice with your second finger, and then B flat twice with your pinky, okay? Let's try it. Here's G again. G sharp. Try to match it. Second finger on A. B flat with your pinky. Now look at your hand. Does it seem distanced appropriately? Is it in tune? Open G string, we'll check. Again, go back up. A little bit flat, so I'm rolling into that note, and that's okay. Now you don't need to leave these fingers down too, but if we're talking about the traditional claw technique, you do. Okay, you try it yourself now, okay? Just gonna let it roll. Are you hearing that beating? Try to match it and just roll a little bit, minimal movements. Okay, great. So that's a really good exercise just for seeing the shape right here, right? So that can be utilized, again, in the upper register, thinking in thumb position. Let's try that real quick with the exact same track, okay? So we'll find G, then we'll play first finger on G sharp or A flat, second finger on A, B flat with your third finger. Let's try.